So to the first match then on Saturday, and it was at the Amex. Brighton at home to Bournemouth. So what have we got? Well, first of all, Callum Wilson back in the side, but he hasn't had a goal since September. That's not good news for a striker. Dunk was back in defence for Brighton after his illness, and they got off to a great start. 2 minutes, Morpay got hold of the ball. He laid it back right into the path of Jangbach, and his sweet strike went across Henderson into the far right hand corner, and the Seagulls were 1-up. In fact, Brighton were well on top in the early stages, and they could have added to that, but on the counter, King had a great chance which forced a good save from Ryan. On 9 minutes, again looking dangerous, Brighton, and Moy, who was my man of the match, and the neat parts to Mupé, but he shot just over. 28 minutes and Bournemouth getting more into the game now, but Moy still orchestrating Brighton's attacks. 34 minutes, chance for the Cherries. King, nice layoff to Harry Wilson, but his shot was blocked and comfortably dealt with. We got to the break then, solitary goal, 1-0. After the break, Bournemouth definitely has started to look more involved, and they were attacking a bit more. 52 minutes though, another opportunity for the Iranian Tahanbach, but his cross was cut out by Ramsdale. 57 minutes, Bournemouth in a state of disarray in their penalty box. It eventually fell to Burn, who swivelled and hit it wide of Ramsdale, 2-0, and then VAR stepped in, and he was about a millimetre offside. Absolutely ridiculous, this VAR. So it remained 1-0. Howe rang the changes. Stanislav was off, as was Harry Wilson. So he put Fraser on, and on 63 minutes, there was a raid by Vezemi. He charged into the box, but his strike hit the post for Brighton. 78 minutes, brilliant piece of play from Moy after a neat cross. He takes it on the volley, controls it beautifully, then swivels onto his right foot and hit a lovely curling shot past the keeper, and Brighton got their second, and with that the points. Well deserved win for Brighton. Big problems for Eddie Howe at Bournemouth. So to Turf Moor then, Burnley against Manchester United. Solskjaer rung the changes, about 6 or 7 I believe. Bournemouth less so, 4, although Rodriguez was back on the bench, and Barnes was reinstalled alongside Wood. United's changes, well, Brandon Williams was in at left back, Pogba not even on the bench. I don't know what's happening there. I suspect that he may be being held back for the transfer window. Greenwood and Lingard were also on the bench, with Wan-Bissaka, Young in at full back, and Matic was in for McTominay, had a slight knock. 7 minutes then, a good cross from Taylor, but it was cleared by Williams, and 13 minutes, from 35 yards, a free kick by Rashford forced a good save from Pope, and he was at it again 19 minutes, but this time just wide of the goal. 25 minutes, United certainly having more possession, but dangerous Burnley on the counter. And on 34 minutes, Barsley managed to foil a run from Rashford after a good combination play with Matic. Then on 33 minutes, Martial, who was coming into the game, had a shot cleared off the line by Bardsley after some good approach work again. And then finally on 41 minutes though, Westwood volleyed past, set up Barnes, but he shot just wide from 15 yards. But finally on 43 minutes, Taylor, dreadful mistake on the touchline, where he was robbed by Pereira. Pereira saw an opportunity, lovely pass into the space. Martial got to it, and his clinical finish was in the net, and it was 1-0 to the Reds. So that was it at half time. Second half, early possession of the game from United, and James was coming into it a bit more, and he set up Martial, who managed to force the ball home, but it was ruled out for a foul on Taylor. So still 1-0 then. 54 minutes, Ferreira, who had a good game, I felt, set up Martial again, but his shot was hoofed away by Pope. A rare opportunity for Burnley on 57 minutes, McNeil, but his shot was wide of De Gea. And then 61 minutes, James got upended by me. Nasty challenge, yellow card for me. Free kick was lofted to the bar post for Burnley, and it was headed back to Bardsley, and De Gea made a great stay from a snapshot, pushed it for a corner. Goodmanson came on, and he had an early opportunity, but again De Gea put this one against the bar. And then 82 minutes, another chance for Martial, fed by James, but he hesitated, and Pope came in and blocked the effort. Then in added time, Burnley obviously pressing for the equaliser, swift counter-attacks, and James, absolutely hot with pace, managed to run down the right-hand side, saw Rashford available, delightful pass to Rashford. He rounded the keeper, made a bit of a mess of it, but eventually he managed to nudge it home. And that was it. Final score at Turf Moor, Burnley 0, Manchester United 2. Round up with the other matches now. First to the London Stadium, West Ham at home to Leicester. What can I say about this game? Well, Leicester took a lead on 40 minutes when Iniacho got a final header from a Perez flick back across goal, slack marking from the Hammers, but they responded and got a goal right on the interval when Fornals connects with a cross from the right by Anderson, and it was 1-1. However, Leicester was certainly having the better of it, and on 56 minutes Gray was put through by Perez, and he slots it wide of Fabianski, who was back in goal for the Hammers, to make it 2-1. Basically, Leicester then cantered to the finish line, and shortly after the full-time whistle, West Ham announced to all and sundry that Pellegrini had been sacked, so they are in need of a new coach. Let's go to Watford now. Bottom of the table crash against Villa, and it has to be said that Watford, who have done well since the appointment of Pearson, continued, and their talismanic captain Deeney was influential, and he managed to put them ahead on 42 minutes after he connected with a Decore shot from range that was parried out. So 1-0 at the break. Villa really hadn't done anything up to that. A one shot from Wesley brought a great save from Foster, but pretty small pickings into the second half then, and Watford went down to 10 men when Mangale, he got a second yellow. Then foolishly Luis pushed Gini in the box, and Deeney obliged by getting up and converting the penalty for a 2-0. And then on 71, a nice break by Watford. Deeney again feeding Kapoor, and his cross was connected by Zaha, and that was it, all over, 3-0. Convincing win for Watford. Then they're looking like they might beat the drop. Let's move on to St James's Park. Newcastle at home to Everton. Ancelotti off to a good start. Baines was in at left back, and Moise Keane was up front. And basically, Everton had the early chances, and they went 1-up on 13 minutes following a free kick from Sigurdsson. His shot was deflected, and Calvert-Lewin picked up the scraps and obliged and put it in the corner, and so that was 1-0 for Everton. A good opportunity for Almiron, and he set up Williams, but he hit a post, and unfortunately Carroll failed to convert the rebound. But he was offside anyway. Into the second half, and yes, eventually header from Carroll, and Sarr converted to bring the scores level. But then, a few minutes later, on minute 64, Calvert-Lewin got his second of the day, converting a Richarlison cross, and that was 2-1 for the Toffees. And they hold on to that lead, so once again, Ancelotti is really having an impact. Everton 2 wins out of 2 since he was at the helm. Final score at St James's Park was Newcastle 1, Everton 2. So too, Carrow Road, then Norwich against Spurs. Lots of changes by both managers. Ericsson was in for the start from Spurs. Good match. Lots of errors though. Both defensives won't be too proud watching the DVD. Stefanik provided a shot for Casanegra early on that he handled. At the other hand, Delhi had an effort, but it went well over. Then on 18 minutes, Vrancic gets on the ball after Spurs lose possession, and he passes it wide of goalkeeper for 1-0, and Norwich off to a great start again. And then Pukki ran onto a great assist from Vrancic, Crossfield Park, and his shot went in, but it was ruled out by VAR for offside. So 1-0 at the break, and into the second half, Zinnerman blocked an early effort, and then on 55, free kick to Spurs. Ericsson back to his best, I think. Lovely sweet strike. He bent it in the corner to level things up 1-1. A little bit later, Ali was flagged offside as he tipped the ball home. Remained 1-1, and then 61 minutes, Norwich took the lead again. Pukki was put through, but as he sort of made contact with the ball, it was blocked by Alderweireld, and Aurier, who was near Alderweireld, then managed to get a touch, and it went into his own net. A bit fortuitous for Norwich, but they were up 2-1. Then Kane rallied the troops, and eventually on 83 minutes, he, following him, a foul, converted to level things 2-2. Lamela had a chance to win the game, but Kroll was good enough. That was on minute 97. Final whistle then, full time, honours even, Norwich 2, Spurs 2. Okay, to St Mary's, Southampton at home to Crystal Palace. 4 wins in 6 for Saints, and Palace only 1 loss in 6, so these two were in good form. Ings was back up front for the Saints. 15 minutes, Maya was on the end of some magic from Zaha and converted, but VAR ruled that Zaha was offside marginally, so it remained 0-0. A Ward-Prowse free kick got a touch from Bendelek, but it was scooped over, and so it remained goalless at the break. Then finally 50 minutes, Mihailovic, a lovely curving free kick, and Tompkins' header went whizzing past McCarthy, and Palace up in front 1-0. But Saints made a stern stuff under Hasenhuttl. Sorry, still can't get that pronunciation. And Ings capitalised on a ridiculous back pass by Tompkins, who had a mixed day really, and whacked it home to level things. After that, Ginepri came in, and he looked a threat. And certainly, if it hadn't been for Guaita, Saints may have gotten yet another win. But as it was, the final whistle arrived, honours even. Final score: Southampton 1, Crystal Palace 1.